Arian was the only son of a rich family, living a life many only dream of. He had sprawling mansions, a fleet of luxury cars, and a name that echoed in high society. He had everything a person could want, except for the one thing his heart truly craved: true love. Everywhere he went, he was surrounded by people, especially girls who were drawn to him like moths to a flame. But he knew, deep down, they weren't drawn to him, Arian, the man. They were in love with his money, his status, his power. The sparkle in their eyes was a reflection of his wealth, not affection for his soul. Every night, in the lonely silence of his opulent bedroom, Arian would whisper the same wish into the darkness, a desperate plea from a lonely heart: I wish someone would love me. Not for what I have, but for who I am. He yearned for a connection that wasn't transactional, a love that saw past the glitter and into the depths of his being. One day, tired of the pretense and the golden cage he lived in, Arian decided to escape. He shed his designer labels, put on simple, unassuming clothes, and wandered into a part of the city he rarely visited. He found himself drawn to a small, cozy cafe on a quiet street corner. The aroma of coffee and baked goods filled the air, a stark contrast to the sterile, perfumed environments he was used to, and that's when he saw her. Her name was Iman. She was sitting by the window, completely lost in a book, a picture of simple, unadorned beauty. There was a calmness in her eyes, a peacefulness that Arian had never encountered before. For the first time, he felt a pull that had nothing to do with attraction to his status. He gathered his courage and walked over to her table. As he approached, she looked up from her book, not with the calculating gaze he was so used to, but with simple curiosity. He fumbled for words, and she smiled softly, putting him at ease instantly. "Would you like a coffee?" she asked, her voice gentle. Their chocolate mocha is really good, and that was it. No fawning, no flirting, no prying questions about his identity. It was just normal, a simple human interaction. And for Arian it felt extraordinary. That first encounter turned into a routine. Days turned into weeks, and Arian found himself returning to the small cafe, drawn by the prospect of another simple conversation with Iman. They talked about books, about dreams, about the little joys of life. Ayman was an open book in many ways, yet she never tried to read his. She never once asked who he was, where he lived, or what he did for a living. Her interest was in his thoughts, his opinions, his laughter. One sunny afternoon, unable to contain his curiosity any longer, Arian finally asked her, "You never ask what I do." "Why is that?" Ayman looked up from her cup and laughed, a light, carefree sound that warmed his heart. "To see a person, you don't need to know their job," she replied, her eyes twinkling. "You speak with kindness, you listen with intent, and you have a good heart. For me, that's more than enough." In that moment, something shifted inside Arian. For the very first time in his life, his heart felt truly safe. He wasn't Arian, the heir. He was just Arian, a man she enjoyed talking to, and that was all that mattered. As his feelings for Iman deepened, a familiar fear began to creep in. What would happen when she found out the truth? He had built this beautiful, fragile connection based on a simple version of himself. The thought of his wealth shattering it was terrifying. One evening, he decided he couldn't hide any longer. It was time for the real test. If she truly likes me for me, he thought, she won't change when she knows the truth. With a pounding heart, he invited Iman to his home. When the car pulled up to the grand gates of his mansion, he watched her expression closely. As they walked inside, past the luxury cars in the driveway and the uniformed guards, her eyes widened in disbelief. She took in the soaring ceilings, the marble floors, the sheer scale of it all. She turned to him, her voice a soft whisper. "You never told me you were this rich." Arian's own voice trembled as he asked the question that had haunted him for years. "Will you walk away now, like everyone else?" Ayman was silent for a long moment, her gaze sweeping over the extravagant room before finally settling on his anxious face. She took a deep breath, and her next words were the ones he had waited his whole life to hear. "Love that is based on money isn't love," she said firmly, her eyes clear and steady. "I like you because you are a good human being. Money comes and goes. But a person's character, that stays forever." Tears welled up in Arian's eyes, tears of relief, of joy, of profound gratitude. This was the answer. This was the validation his soul had been searching for. In that grand echoing hall that had always felt so empty, Arian finally felt at home. He reached out and gently took her hand, his fingers intertwining with hers. The cold weight of his wealth seemed to lift, replaced by the warmth of her touch. "And then," he began, his voice thick with emotion, "will you start a new life with me?" Eamon smiled, that same soft, genuine smile that had captured his heart in the cafe. "Only on one condition," she replied. "Promise me you will never measure my love with your money. Always see me with your heart, not with your wallet." The camera begins to rise, leaving the two of them standing hand in hand, their futures stretching out before them. And in that moment, as soft music swells, Arian finally understood a profound truth. True love doesn't have a price tag. It can't be bought or sold. True love finds you. Thanks for watching. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more.